You are in for a treat today because I've got an incredibly important and eye-opening story to share with you about a man named Roger Ver, who's been called Bitcoin Jesus and who is now facing some of the most extreme and unjust persecution in recent memory. I had the privilege of speaking with Tracy Thurman, who's been tirelessly working to spread the word about Roger's case, and I want to bring you the highlights of that conversation. So grab your favorite beverage, get comfortable, and let's dive in. Roger Ver is a name that might not ring a bell for everyone, but for those in the cryptocurrency community, he's a legend. Roger has been a champion of freedom, financial sovereignty, and decentralized systems for years. He was one of the earliest investors in Bitcoin and has been a vocal advocate for cryptocurrencies, which he sees as a crucial tool for breaking free from centralized financial control. But despite his contributions to humanity, Roger is now facing 109 years in prison on what appear to be trumped-up charges. Tracy Thurman, who joined me for this discussion, is a strong advocate for Roger and has been working tirelessly to bring attention to his case. Tracy started by explaining that Roger's troubles with the U.S. government go back over 20 years, long before the rise of Bitcoin. In the year 2000, at the age of 21, Roger ran for office as a libertarian in California. During a debate, he spoke out against the ATF, calling them a criminal organization. From that moment, he was marked as an enemy of the state. Tracy shared a shocking story about how Roger was charged in the early 2000s for selling agricultural fireworks without a license. This was a common practice at the time, and many people were doing it, but the ATF chose to go after Roger specifically. In a meeting with his attorney, a prosecutor, and an ATF agent, Roger's attorney argued that the normal solution would be a fine or a warning, not jail time. The ATF agent's response was to pound his fist on the table and say, "You didn't hear what he said. This was clearly about retribution for Roger's speech, not a legitimate legal issue." After serving 10 months in federal prison, Roger decided he could no longer trust the U.S. government. He moved to Japan and began his journey as a cryptocurrency advocate. In 2011, he first heard about Bitcoin and became so fascinated that he stayed up for days, eventually being hospitalized for exhaustion. He saw the potential of Bitcoin to change the world and began investing heavily. He also set up his companies to accept Bitcoin as payment, which was revolutionary at the time. Roger's passion for Bitcoin earned him the nickname Bitcoin Jesus because he would go into barbershops, restaurants, and even approach random people on the street to teach them about Bitcoin and give them small amounts to start. Many people who received $10 worth of Bitcoin from Roger in 2011 are now quite wealthy, and countless others have been inspired by his vision. In 2014, Roger decided to give up his U.S. citizenship and face the tax implications. This is a taxable event, and for someone with significant holdings in Bitcoin, it was a complex process. Roger worked with the best attorneys he could find to ensure he was in compliance. They determined that it was impossible to sell all his Bitcoin at market value without crashing the market, so they arrived at a value and followed it to the letter. Despite this, the IRS raided Roger's attorney's office in 2017, took documents, and used them to paint a distorted picture of Roger's actions. The current charges against Roger are for supposed tax evasion, but the reality is much more complex. The indictment cherry-picks information to make Roger look guilty, even though he followed his attorney's advice. The IRS has never given Roger a clear number of what they think he owes, and they've been unresponsive to his attorney's requests for information. This case is about making an example of Roger to intimidate the cryptocurrency community and anyone else who stands up to the government. Tracy emphasized that this case is critical for everyone who cares about freedom, liberty, and justice. If Roger is convicted, it sets a dangerous precedent that could be used against anyone who relies on attorneys or accountants for financial advice. This is why it's so important to stand up for Roger now, even if you don't know him personally. Tracy and her team have launched a website, freerogernow.org, where you can sign an open letter to President Trump asking him to pardon Roger. This should take less than a minute of your time, and every signature counts. Tracy also encouraged everyone to share this interview and spread the word about Roger's case. The more people who are aware, the better the chances of getting a pardon. Tracy pointed out that if Roger is left to face 109 years in prison, it's not just a personal tragedy, but a loss for humanity. Roger has done so much to support the crypto community, medical freedom, and decentralized systems. He's a testament to what can be achieved when people are free to innovate and build. In closing, Tracy stressed that this is a Sisyphean battle, but one that we can win if we don't give up. She believes that with enough support and awareness, Roger can be freed. We can prevent what she calls the crucifixion of Bitcoin Jesus and show that the U.S. still stands for justice and freedom. So listeners, I urge you to take action. Go to freerogernow.org, sign the petition, and share this story. Let's come together to support a man who has done so much for the causes we believe in. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll catch up with you soon on the next episode of BrightLearn. Stay curious, stay informed, and never stop fighting for what's right. Take care.
This has been a BrightLearn.ai summary of an interview between Tracy Thurman and Mike Adams on December 2nd, 2024. The full interview is available at brighteon.com, where you can also find podcasts and special reports by Mike Adams and other creators. Visit naturalnews.com for full editorial coverage of this interview and breaking news on critical stories that will keep you informed and aware of what's really going on.